You are about to hear something most men will never understand in their entire lifetime, not because it is complicated, but because it forces you to confront an uncomfortable truth. Women are not drawn to kindness, effort, or emotional availability. They are drawn to impact. A psychological impact that bypasses logic and strikes directly at the subconscious, at the animal self beneath her perfectly controlled exterior. And if you have ever wondered why the men who try the hardest often fall the hardest, why the devoted ones, the consistent ones, the good men always end up confused, ignored, or heartbroken, while another man, who does almost nothing, who barely even tries, can ignite in her a desire so intense it borders on obsession, the answer is brutally simple. Desire is not earned. It is triggered. Awakened. Sparked by a man who understands the emotional circuitry inside her mind better than she understands it herself. You've been taught to impress her with affection. To win her with honesty. To attract her with effort. But none of these touch the deeper psychological layers where real desire lives. And today, you're going to cross that line, from the world of men who chase, to the world of men who provoke. From the mindset of, how do I get her to like me, to, how do I awaken the part of her she cannot control? Because female desire is not a polite emotion. It is primal. Territorial. Irrational. And when you learn how to activate it using Machiavellian psychological triggers, the same mechanisms kings, leaders, seducers, and strategists have used for centuries, she won't just notice you. She won't just like you. She will respond to you with a level of emotional heat and mental fixation she cannot hide, suppress, or turn off. If you're ready for that shift, keep listening. Because once you understand these codes, you will never look at attraction the same way again, and neither will she. Before we dissect the mechanism of this impact, let me tell you about a man who was, by all conventional standards, unremarkable. He wasn't the loudest in the room, nor the wealthiest, nor the most physically imposing. In a world of men posturing with bright feathers, he was a shadow. Yet, the most guarded women, the ones who built fortresses around their hearts and minds, would find their defenses crumbling in his presence. His secret was not in what he did, but in what he understood. While other men were busy presenting their resumes, their jobs, their intentions, their carefully constructed personalities, he was busy reading her subtext. He listened not to her words, but to the pauses between them. He watched not her expressions, but the micro-expressions she couldn't control. He didn't try to fill her with his presence, he created a vacuum that she felt an irresistible urge to fill with her attention, her thoughts, her desire. A friend, bewildered by his success, once demanded his secret. The man smiled, a barely perceptible curve of his lips, and said, "Other men try to convince her mind. I simply have a conversation with her instincts. Her mind can say no, but her instincts don't know how to lie." He hadn't learned this in a book on dating, he had learned it from observing the immutable laws of power, from studying the strategists who moved empires not with brute force, but with leverage. He knew that the female psyche, for all its modern sophistication, operates on an ancient code. And once you speak its language, you don't need to ask for her desire. She offers it as a surrender. Today, you will learn the syntax of that language. The first and most foundational principle you must burn into your mind is that the human nervous system is repelled by certainty and hypnotized by ambiguity. Predictability is the silent assassin of passion. Most men, in their eagerness to secure a woman's affection, make a fatal error. They become a solved equation. From the first interaction, they lay all their cards on the table, their feelings, their future plans, their deepest insecurities, believing that this transparency will be rewarded with trust and attraction. It is not. It is rewarded with boredom. In the subconscious theater of her mind, you transform from a captivating protagonist into predictable scenery. Machiavelli wrote that men are more easily deceived by what they desire than by what is true. This isn't an instruction to deceive her, but a blueprint to understanding her mind. Your mistake is that you function as a user's manual when you were meant to be a labyrinth. The solution is to cultivate a pervasive aura of calculated mystery. This isn't about being evasive or playing games, it is about the strategic curation of information. Let your life be a series of nested rooms, each one she enters only revealing the door to the next. Let her wonder about the parts of your world that don't include her. Let her mind work to piece you together. A man who is perpetually available, whose thoughts are always transparent, becomes a utility. You are useful, but never thrilling. The thrill lies in the unknown. It is the subtle ambivalence in your interest, the push and pull of attention and withdrawal, that creates the emotional tension necessary for desire to ignite. When she cannot be 100% certain that she has you, her mind will not rest. It will dedicate cognitive real estate to you, replaying conversations, analyzing your behavior, trying to crack your code. This is not a game, this is the nature of investment. Desire is born not in the placid waters of comfort and certainty, but in the turbulent currents of emotional suspense. The second pillar upon which all primal attraction is built is the projection of silent authority. This is perhaps the most misunderstood concept in modern masculinity. It has been conflated with aggression, with dominance, with arrogance. It is none of these things. It is a quiet, unshakable core of self-possession that communicates one thing: I am the architect of my reality. At a deep, biological level, the female psyche is attuned to signals of leadership and direction. Not the leadership of a tyrant, but the leadership of a guide, a man who navigates the world with an internal compass. Most men, terrified of offending or appearing too forward, abdicate this role. They become followers in their own interactions, constantly seeking permission, validation, and signals from her. They ask, "What would you like to do?" not as a gesture of respect, but as a plea for direction. This passivity is an anesthetic to her desire. As Machiavelli noted, the one who wishes to be obeyed must first know how to command. In the dance of seduction, this translates to knowing how to lead the interaction without being forceful. Your error is that you behave like a guest in her reality, when you should be the host of your own. The solution is to embody this authority in your every nonverbal cue. It's in the way you hold space, shoulders back, posture relaxed but upright. It is in the unwavering intensity of your gaze, a gaze that doesn't just see her, but assesses her, understands her, and ever so slightly challenges her. It is in the cadence of your voice, slow, deep, resonant, without the upward inflection that seeks approval. It is in your comfort with silence, allowing moments of tension to hang in the air, forcing her to be the one to break it. When you speak, your words are not requests, but declarations of intent. You do not ask, "Would you be free for dinner sometime next week, if you're not busy?" You state, "We're going to that new Italian place Thursday night. I'll pick you up at 8. It is not a command, it is the calm certainty of a man who creates experiences. This silent assumption of leadership makes her feel a profound sense of psychological safety and arousal. She can relax her own analytical mind and be swept up in the current of your direction. She feels, subconsciously, that you are in control, not of her, but of the moment. And that feeling is one of the most potent aphrodisiacs known to woman. The third pillar is the mastery of challenge and restraint, the principle that transforms you from a commodity into a treasure. Human desire is fundamentally wired to value what is scarce and to pursue what is elusive. It does not ignite for what is freely given or easily obtained, it obsesses over the prize that requires effort, strategy, and investment. The majority of men, driven by a desperate need for validation, present themselves as an unconditional gift. They shower her with attention, compliments, and availability from the outset, hoping to win her over with the sheer volume of their affection. This strategy invariably backfires. It destroys their perceived value and smothers any spark of desire before it can catch fire. Machiavelli warned that generosity, when mismanaged, breeds contempt, not gratitude. In the economy of attraction, giving everything away for free doesn't make you benevolent, it makes you worthless. Your fundamental mistake is that you present yourself as an open-access resource, when you should be a members-only sanctum. The solution is to never surrender your entire self, especially your desire, without a reciprocal investment from her. This is not about being cold, cruel, or manipulative. It is about understanding that your attention, your intimacy, and your sexual energy are your most valuable assets, and they must be earned. It means that she must contribute to the emotional and mental landscape of the interaction to gain deeper access to you. When she offers a flirtatious comment, you don't immediately jump to reciprocate with overwhelming enthusiasm. You meet her energy, and perhaps raise it by a fraction, with a knowing smile or a playful, challenging remark that suggests there is more beneath the surface, but she has to work for it. You create a dynamic of gradual escalation, where intimacy feels like the earned culmination of a sustained tension, not a casual transaction. Restraint in this context is your most powerful tool. It creates a vacuum. When she senses that she hasn't fully captured you, that there's a part of your mind or your desire that remains unconquered, her own drive to possess you intensifies. The human brain is an engine of obsession for the incomplete, for the puzzle that is almost solved. By making your desire something she must actively stoke and awaken, rather than something you freely dispense, you transform the entire dynamic. You cease to be the pursuer, you become the pursued. The fourth pillar, and the one that separates the masters from the novices, is the projection of fantasy. Sexual desire is rarely about the mundane reality of two people. It is a product of the imagination. It feeds on the narratives, archetypes, and hidden cravings that occupy a woman's subconscious mind, fantasies she would never articulate, even to herself. Most men operate entirely on the surface level, focusing on polite conversation and socially acceptable behavior. They fail to understand that the true ignition point of female arousal lies in the ability to become the living embodiment of her unspoken desires. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow self, the repressed, primal parts of our psyche. Your mistake is that you only appeal to her polite, conscious self, while leaving her shadow self completely starved. The solution is to become the catalyst for her unexplored erotic imagination. This is not achieved through vulgarity or explicit propositions. It is a subtle art, mastered through suggestion, ambiguity, and an aura that hints at a capacity for things beyond the everyday. It's about understanding that every woman, no matter how proper her public persona, carries a duality within her. She may present as the good girl, but the fantasy of a man who is not entirely safe, a man who is dominant, mysterious, or possesses a touch of controlled danger, can be overwhelmingly potent. You do not have to be that man, you must only project the potential for it. It is the tension between the raw power you seem to possess and the gentle restraint with which you choose to treat her. It is the calm with an edge. You learn to speak in the language of subtext and double meanings, delivered with an enigmatic smile that makes her question your true intentions. You don't offer sex, you offer an atmosphere of sexual possibility, an energy that only you can create. Let your presence awaken thoughts and sensations in her that she doesn't associate with anyone else. When a woman begins to project her deepest fantasies onto you, when you become the screen for her hidden desires, her attraction becomes an unstoppable force. You are no longer just a man, you are the key to a part of her own mind that she craves to unlock. You are giving her what her conscious self may deny, but what her primal body and soul desperately crave. The fifth and final pillar is the strategic management of your reward. Desire is a fire that needs both fuel and oxygen. If you provide too much fuel in a constant, predictable stream, you extinguish the flame. Like any biological drive, desire intensifies when the reward is intermittent, unpredictable, and never guaranteed. If your affection is always on tap, if you are always the one to initiate contact, if your sexual energy is always readily available to please her, the reward of your presence loses all of its intoxicating power. The critical error most men make is becoming a reliable utility, a dispenser of pleasure she can access at will. They fail to grasp that excessive availability doesn't create security, it creates apathy. Machiavelli, a master of using reward and punishment to maintain power, would understand that in the realm of desire, the fear of loss is a far greater motivator than the promise of gain. In this context, the fear is her subtle anxiety of not knowing when, or if, the intoxicating reward of your focused desire will return. Your mistake is you become a constant, steady stream of validation, a faucet she can turn on whenever she's thirsty. The solution is to manage your reward with the precision of a master strategist. This does not mean withholding affection or playing cruel games. It means that access to the deepest levels of your intimacy, your energy, and your desire is not an entitlement she possesses. It is a prize that is won and must be periodically re-won. Create cycles of intense connection followed by moments of subtle emotional and physical distance. Allow her the space to miss you, to wonder about you, to crave your next encounter. Don't always be the first to text, the first to call, the first to suggest a meeting. Let her be the one to chase your validation sometimes. Let her feel that she needs to reignite your interest, to remind you why she is worthy of your unique fire. When your desire is not a guarantee, when an element of uncertainty hangs in the air, her mind will invest more deeply in you. Her neurological system becomes conditioned to seek the dopamine rush that your unpredictable attention provides. This cycle of craving and satisfaction keeps her perpetually engaged, mentally and physically fixated on you. You become the one man who provides a high that never fades into the gray monotony of predictability. Now, a voice of modern conditioning in your head might be screaming, "This is manipulation." Let me address this with the unapologetic clarity it deserves. What we have discussed is not manipulation, it is literacy. Harmful manipulation is about deceit, coercion, and control for selfish gain, stripping another person of their agency. That is the path of a tyrant. This is the path of an artist. We are not creating new desires within her, we are simply becoming fluent in the language of the desires that already exist. We are reading the psychological terrain and navigating it with conscious awareness, rather than stumbling through it like a blind fool. Think for a moment. Does she not instinctively respond to a man with purpose? Does she not get bored with the man who is too available? Does her mind not wander to the man who presents a challenge? Are her deepest fantasies not often at odds with her public persona? These are not rules you are imposing, these are the fundamental operating principles of human attraction. She is already playing this game by instinct, the only difference is that now, you will be playing it with intention. This is not about being a predator, it is about refusing to be prey. It is about becoming a conscious architect of the passion you wish to experience, rather than a passive victim of indifference to so. Do you want to continue being the man who asks, who waits, who hopes? Or do you want to become the man who understands, who leads, who ignites? The choice requires you to shed the comfortable lies you've been fed. Stop being predictable. Stop being a bottomless well of validation. Stop seeking her approval as if it were oxygen. And most critically, stop being a slave to your own desperate neediness, projecting it onto her and repelling her in the process. Become a strategist of human nature. Learn from every glance, every silence, every touch. Understand that the world of primal desire is not a romantic comedy, it is a complex ecosystem of power, tension, and psychology. If you fail to understand its laws, you will be crushed by them, left frustrated and invisible. Because if you do not master the triggers of desire, you will be mastered by her indifference. And that is not freedom, it is a cage built from your own ignorance. If this has made you uncomfortable, good. The truth often is. If it has sparked a revelation, even better. That is the first step toward genuine power. Now, the conversation is not over. I want you to comment below with the one trigger you have seen create the most powerful effect in your own life, or the one you feel is the most difficult to master. Your insights are part of this new education. And if you are ready to continue this journey, to receive more content that strips away the politically correct illusions about power, psychology, and attraction, then subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Share this video with another man who is still lost in the dark, trying to earn what can only be triggered. And remember, in the arena of desire, it is not the man who tries the hardest who wins. It is the man who understands the game.